welcome back to B2B Tech Talk, live from Ingram Micro Experience. We're now joined by Farooq Gadiali, Vice President at Schneider Electric, and Brendan Hogan, Senior Manager at Dell Technologies, and we're talking data centers, power management, and specifically powering the future with high-density innovation. Farooq and Brendan, welcome to B2B Tech Talk.
Nice to meet you, Andrew.
Great to be here.
Great to have you both with us for this topic. So let's dive straight in. So Brendan, as data volumes explode and digital transformation accelerates, the question isn't if your infrastructure is ready, it's how you'll evolve. Let's start with context. Why is data center density growing so fast, and what pressures is that putting on infrastructure?
I think the first question is going to be, where are we seeing the sources of this growth? We're seeing AI-driven workloads like never before. We're seeing advanced analytics, and we're obviously seeing an explosion of data at the edge. And all of this data is causing pressure in the whole HDC space. And when I say pressure, I mean power, cooling, environmentals, and the associated, the ability to run these platforms effectively. Remember now, we can't use traditional workloads in the same way. The traditional data centers or traditional platforms to run these new environmental workloads. We in Dell are very focused on providing the right services and offerings to meet those particular workloads, and in some situations, custom designed platforms specifically to meet those workload requirements.
Farooq, over to you. So we have these huge data needs, that's clear. We have the opportunity for high density computing, and we have the incumbent power requirements and heat management. So how do we tackle these opportunities as well as the challenges to keep data centers optimized?
Yeah. If I try and dumb it down a bit, all we're trying to do is get power to the chip, because these chips are hungry in terms of what they need for power. And we got to extract heat from the chip into the chiller. So when we talk solutions, we're talking about getting power from the grid, which is 22 kilowatt, down into transformers, into racks, into PDUs, finally into the chip. And then finding an innovative way of taking the heat out from the chip and dissipating it all the way back into the chiller. So it's all about the key challenge here for us really is how do we make this scalable and how do we make it deploy at speed? And this is where solutions come into play. So we're talking about validated architectures. For example, the Dell PowerEdge server portfolio with ready architectures. Or from an APC Schneider perspective, we talk about innovative rack solutions, liquid cooling inside of the rack or in the CDU format. So there's multiple solutions, there's multiple tested, validated architectures that we can deploy together with partners to drive outcomes.
So speaking of partners, let's now shift into what are, Brendan, the commercial implications for MSPs and partners. Specifically, what services or value-added offerings can they build around high-density computing?
I think this brings massive opportunity to partners and MSPs. We already know that the current data centers are challenged to provide the ability to run these workloads, these hungry workloads that Farooq just mentioned 2 minutes ago. And this provides an opportunity for MSPs and partners to provide hosting facilities, for instance, or hosting services to house these types of workloads. We're also seeing potentially value-added services above and beyond just the hosting, but maybe to actually manage specific specialized workloads, outside of the customer's workloads, outside of the customer's data centers themselves. Now, what does this actually deliver? Well, I suppose ultimately it delivers the ability for people to focus on the areas that they're good at, the areas that they're specialized in. And it allows our customers to focus on, value-added services that they know themselves and working to drive business outcomes outside of data center specific specialization.
I'd probably add one more thing to that, if I may.
Yes, please.
So high density compute also drives a fair bit of OT, operational technology, into the mix. And when we do that, it creates a different set of challenges, which is around how reliable that OT is. Now in hyperscale data centers, large data centers, yes, there is a lot of redundancy. But when you go to the edge, You don't have that level of redundancy. So monitoring the OT becomes super critical. And this is where we see an opportunity for partners to come in and work across IT and OT and play up that convergence, because that's where really the magic will happen and you can provide more value to the end client, and including from a sustainability perspective or a cybersecurity perspective.
Okay.
So I think we should not forget OT in this mix.
Okay, that's interesting, and I guess with this space, like I said, we've outlined there's plenty of opportunity. It's a fast-moving space, of course, which takes me to the next question. What's one myth or misunderstanding that you often hear about deploying high-density setups?
I'd say there's a myth that high-density compute sits in the hyperscalers only, and this is clearly a myth because we are starting to see green shoots at the edge. Research says that nearly about 50% of AI workloads will be done at the edge by 2028. So we're starting to see decentralization of AI workloads moving to the edge. And this is where partners come in. The other thing is we commissioned the research with TRA, which is Tech Research Asia. And we asked end clients, what do you really see with AI coming in, right? And most of them, 77%, I think, said that they would go with the incumbent IT partner who is on site with them to deploy AI. Now, the question I really have is, are the IT partners in Australia and New Zealand ready? Do they have the right partner frameworks? Do they have the right tools to be able to drive that AI workload?
And I don't think it's any one partner either. That's where we all come together, 100%, right? And we rely heavily on our partners as well to bring their specialization. We have DCIM, for instance, and monitoring and service management delivered by Schneider. That's critical for us to provide the outcomes within the data center as well.
You mentioned a moment ago, Farooq, sustainability. That's a key word in this space, obviously. And this next question's for both of you. Because both of your organisations are all in on sustainability, both in your own operations, but also the services that you offer your customers. So can you just take us through, how does Dell and APC Schneider Electric, how are you progressing in your own journeys? First of all, that's the first part of the question. And then how are you helping organisations build greener, more resilient data centres? And I might start with you, Farooq.
Yeah, okay. Look, sustainability has been a core for us. We've been on this journey for nearly 2 decades now, and we're really proud to have been named the industry leader for sustainability 2 years in a row now by Time Magazine. So that's a really proud achievement that the organization has got. Yeah. Our approach to sustainability has been very simple. What we work with our partners as well as with ourselves, the first step is to strategize, is to create a baseline. After strategizing, we work towards digitizing. So try and collect as much data. And that's where AI actually comes in as an energy efficiency measure. And then after we digitize, we decarbonize. So then we have this loop of strategize, digitize, decarbonize that goes round and round, ensuring that that baseline continues to reduce and we become more and more sustainable, not only in our own operations, but also with our partners, with our vendors, and everyone we work with. And then we also pour a lot of R&D. So we spend nearly about 5% of our revenue in R&D. And a lot of our R&D goes into building solutions, building technology that makes solutions more sustainable.
Yeah, fantastic. Brendan?
Yeah, I mean, Dell has some pretty serious goals, as you can imagine, in this space, sustainability space. And we're on track. We believe we're on track for 2050, of course, is where we're heading towards, or we're aiming to have a net zero greenhouse emission gas result, right? But at the same time, we're not looking that far ahead, and we're looking at around 2030 to have a checkpoint to see how we're actually performing, primarily around circular economy and providing that 100, this goal more so in scope 1 and 2, around delivering 100% packaging, recycled packaging for all of our products. And it goes a step further than as well when we talk about the actual products and the platforms themselves, where we're looking to recycle 1 metric ton of product for every 10 sold. So this is a huge amount of huge offering, our goal of ours, and one that we're very, very focused on. I think, they're the goals, but how do we do this on a day-to-day level? That's really important. And, when we're delivering our services, when we're building our platforms, sustainability is key to everything that we do. And this could be down to simply processes, being more efficient in our processes, being more efficient in our resource utilization of the platforms that we deliver, because ultimately everything is a step towards achieving those sustainability goals by 2050.
So incremental changes?
Absolutely, incremental changes. It's not just about product, but it's all everything. It's really just having a frame of mind and making sure that we're all focused on it. It's not just the Michael Dell himself, but all of us as
Well, absolutely. It's fantastic to see organisations so committed, but also so precise with specific goals and actions that you're taking. So both of your organisations, it's really commendable. I might start with you with this next one, Brendan, as well. So for our partners, obviously the audience being IT decision makers and managed service providers, our IT partners, what's the one action that they can take to prepare their clients for higher data volumes and density needs? Brendan, I might stick with you.
Yeah, of course. So I think this is down again to, working and focusing on what we know, right? And we're all experts in our own areas. And when I think about, sustainability, I think about delivering value-added services and so on. I think the first step that we all need to take is understanding the customer's environment. I mean, when we talk about this from an engineering standpoint, understanding current state. But to understand current state, this requires a series of assessments. And we have an assessment, a program of work within Dell called the Get Efficient Assessment. And I think it's incumbent on all of us to be able to run these assessments, but also to articulate the monetary value to customers once we actually deliver on the journey, right? So this Get Efficient Assessment can actually monetize and see the values of power, cooling, and all of the various components within the environment to actually put a monetary value on it. Now that positions us nicely when we're looking at modernization, because ultimately we're all going to have to modernize. But what's the actual value to the customer by modernizing? It's not just a statement, it's an actual value.
Sure. That's and that's compelling, isn't it? Then you can actually put a figure to it. That's fabulous. Farouk, what about your perspective?
For me, the message is pretty simple to partners. Educate yourselves, familiarize yourselves with what technology has to offer. I mean, understand AI workloads better, understand AI workflows and how they roll. And then familiarize yourselves with technology, with what technology can provide. The architectures that I spoke about earlier. There's so many architectures that are now available, ready to deploy. Understand them, understand the design tools that they can use themselves to configure some of these AI solutions. So we'd love to lift the entire industry, knowledge base itself, because then we can truly add more value to, as Brendan rightly said, we can add more value to our end clients and improve the AI deployment that to some extent it's struggling to get off the ground.
Fantastic. 100%. This has been a fabulous conversation. Thank you both, Farouk and Brendan, and a special thank you to APC Schneider Electric for sponsoring this episode. So thank you very much. And for the audience, you will find links to the show in the show description. And don't forget to share and subscribe, and we'll see you for the next episode. Thank you.